Hi, this is Victoria Meyer. Welcome back to the Chemical Show, where chemicals means business. Today, I'm bringing you a unique episode that we're recording during Women's History Month, and we're showcasing CEF, the Chemical Educational Foundation, and three of their female board members: Jennifer Jewson from LyondellBasell, Joyce Marshall Johnson from Univar Solutions, and Rene Whigham from Olin. So, we're going to be talking about careers in chemicals, the importance of engaging students and especially girls early in their academic careers, and then also wrapping in a discussion about CEF's You Be the Chemist Challenge, which is reaching its 20th anniversary this year with a big celebration in Houston in June. So, we'll be talking about that and more. Ladies, welcome to the Chemical Show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start with what sparked your interest in chemistry and led to a career in chemicals? Because you've all reached and developed some great careers in this industry. And it's always interesting how we got here. Jen, let's start with you.
I am actually a chemist. I'm a PhD chemist. And I work in catalyst design. So I worked in inorganic chemistry. And so as a young girl, I always loved math and science. No one in my family is a math and science person. So I'm very unique. But I think the great thing about that is I just had great support from my family. And then the reason I really love CEF is it's always the engagement of a teacher that really helps to spark what you want to do. And when I got to college, I had a fantastic advisor that really encouraged me not just to get a 4-year degree, but go even beyond that to get a PhD. And I love working in the research areas. For me, that was my beginning part of my journey.
Yeah, that's great. Renee, how about you? Because you're also chemicals all the way through your career.
Yeah, that's right. So my interest in chemistry and math started with an interaction with a fifth grade teacher that introduced me to chemistry. And from that point forward, I realized how much I loved chemistry and putting the math together with math and having the opportunities to progress in that career path meant choosing a school that had a
Mm.
really good chemical engineering program. And I too, Jen, went on to get advanced degrees in chemical engineering. But it all started with that initial interaction with the teacher. And I also had the support of parents who, eh, during the time period I grew up, it wasn't conventional for women to be in chemical engineering. And so while you run into the naysayers that don't believe that's a woman's role, my parents were always so supportive and telling me, you can do and be anything you want to be. Just do what you love to do. And that's really how I ended up going to get my degrees in chemical engineering. And I've been in the chemical space ever since. And
Awesome.
so a lot of great support and interaction, but it started with a teacher.
Yeah, that's really cool. And Joyce, you are not a chemist or a chemical engineer, right? So
No.
you've got a degree in industrial engineering, and yet somehow we still got you roped into the chemical industry.
Yeah, I stumbled into the world of chemicals. For me, the journey began early on, very similar to Renee, is an introduction from a great teacher. However, I really gravitated to biology and organisms and how they were formed. And early on, fourth, fifth grade, and then as I entered the middle school years, I really began to advance in mathematics. I just loved gravitating to things, solving problems, and just being adventurous with a lot of different things. Actually, through my earlier years, it wasn't really until the end of high school where I realized I had a little bit of a limitation of exposure to chemistry. I dove in my senior year. I landed with an engineering scholarship at a college, which was a bit unexpected. I was thinking, okay, I love biology. I'm going to pursue something there. But once I got exposed to the world of engineering, and then I began to intern in the natural gas processing space, I became a processing engineer where chemistry became key, and it grew from there. So I do very much appreciate a lot of teachers along the way that were very influential. My parents were very supportive. but really it was always there. Chemistry was always there. The love of learning and gravitating to math and sciences were there. But yeah, a little bit different journey in that. In the world of chemistry and chemicals, it really, for me, took off once I committed to an engineering degree in college. So a little bit different journey.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think what's interesting about all of it is how exposure was so critical, right? So whether
Right.
it be exposure to chemistry in the first place, exposure to opportunities in engineering and what you can do. Because again, as you pointed out, Joyce, you don't know. None of us know. I think we all went
Mhm.
a little bit blindly, in
Mhm.
some cases, into college and into our careers just because we're hampered by not having examples around us. And so that's where it's just so great to be able to expose students at a young age and other
Mhm.
folks at a young age. My chemistry story, and I'm a chemical engineer. I have three older brothers and three younger sisters. So one is seven, and one of my brothers got a chemistry kit for Christmas one year. You guys might remember, like, the probably came out of the Sears catalog or
The box,
Kmart, wherever you
like
bought the
this, I
stuff
didn't
from.
like. Yeah.
We loved doing the rockets. There was
Huh.
a mix the
Yeah.
baking soda and vinegar and blowing up rockets in the backyard. That was exciting. And I loved once I found the microscope, which is not really chemistry, but just the whole
Mhm.
scientific, ooh, there's more to it than what's on the surface. And then examples and great teachers as well. So I think that's all just, it's so important. The exposure at a young age while you're
Yes.
still in the decision process is so critical. It's Women's History Month, and there's a lot of discussions in the workplace and items in the media about empowering women, helping women achieve more workplace success and recognition. And obviously the chemical industry, like other really technical and process heavy industries, has long been male dominated. In fact, if we look at engineering schools are male dominated. And yet we see a lot of successful women, including yourselves, across the industry. What has been really significant in helping you navigate a career in chemicals and really career progression and feeling like you could stick with it throughout your career? Jen, can we start with you maybe?
Sure. So we actually had a discussion yesterday within our company about career paths and how do you follow that? How do you stick with it? For me, I'm going to tell you, it's all about mentors. And I had a mentor early mid in my career, and I have one today. And they change over time, I think, depending on maybe where you are in your career. But without having a mentor, I think there's no way I would be as successful as I am today. And I think part of it is because if you look at women in the workforce, we are more apt to be a little more reserved. We're more risk averse. We don't put
Mhm.
ourselves out there as much. And I've had mentors in my career that will say things to me, why not you? Well, why can't you do it? And I love that because I think it helps you. It makes you a little more vulnerable, but it's forced me to candidly get out of my comfort zone. And you get into a role and you may be very nervous, but I will tell you, within 30 days, you're like, yeah, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And you're not really sure about what you're capable of unless somebody pushes you. And so I will tell you, my mentors in my career I give them all the credit for helping me get to where I am today.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Renee or Joyce, you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think for me too, which was wonderful, was that I didn't know what I didn't know, and that I didn't realize I was in a space that was unique. To be honest, yes, I was many times the only female in the room, many times, sometimes the only minority in the room.
Mhm.
And but I think just that the grit, and I used that brute force method initially because I just didn't know I wasn't supposed to necessarily not be there. So I like what was also discussed. Mentors don't always look like a mentor, like they don't call themselves a
Mhm.
mentor. But I think that was really critical for me. There were people that believed in me and supported my progression and sometimes making moves in different levels of the organization and or different segments from sales to maybe procurement and supply chain. I made some jumps and moves and I had the support of others. And I thought that was really critical, but they weren't necessarily per se my mentors.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, when I look back, I was like, in a way, they really were mentors, but they were supporters of growth and development and showing what I could do for the organization, which I was really critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it sounds like maybe they were sponsors, even more so than mentors,
Right.
like
Mhm.
creating that opportunity that you may or may not have known about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I would
know,
add
go
both
ahead.
both of those comments are great. And for me, when I talk about mentors to my mentees, I let them know that a mentor is not someone that tells you what you want to hear. They
Mhm.
tell you the things that you need to hear. And sometimes
Right.
that strike us as different, or maybe we don't agree with them. Those are the people that are seeing attributes in ourselves that maybe we don't see ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is so important to have that person that that sounding board really that can help you understand that self promotion is very important. I
Mhm.
read a study once, and I don't have the details behind it, but if you look at a male and female engineer that starts at the same time over the course of 10 years, the male is much further in his progression than the female. And the data shows that's because females are more hesitant to
Mhm.
talk about how good we are because we're always a little bit second guessing ourselves. To Joyce's point, I never noticed that I was the only woman in a room full of men. It never registered with me because I was just doing the job that I was meant to do. So I didn't look around the room and take an account of the gender in the room. It was my job, and it's what I needed to do. And so that having that perspective and also being open to challenges, like Joyce said, moving outside of your functional area to completely different roles that you may not think you're ready for, but there's others that believe in you that think you're ready. And it scares you to death. But that challenge is the energy that makes us go to the next step. And so many different things in my career that I'm thankful for, and the people that helped me see what I could do that I wasn't aware that I could do.
Yeah, I think that's really
Maybe.
great. And I think your point about career progression and men and women and not necessarily progressing at the same rate. I actually do, I speak to corporate women's groups and to other groups about this topic called negotiate your success. If you don't, who will? And women often have what I call the tiara syndrome. If I just put my head down and do a great job, they're going to see that tiara, my crown on top of my head, and know that I'm awesome. And the reality is, people don't know because we're all egocentric and we don't necessarily pay attention to everything else. And then studies also show that women negotiate much better on behalf of other people and not so well for
Yes.
themselves. And so figuring out, number one, how to go to bat for yourself is critical. And number two, who can you rely on, whether it be a mentor, a peer, a sponsor, to help you when you're not helping yourself is so important. So turning a little bit, obviously everybody here on this call has developed a great career in chemicals, but what do you wish more people knew about, and more women maybe knew about careers in the chemical industry? Because there's so many opportunities, but how do we create those opportunities? And what do you wish they knew about this?
So I think from my perspective, in looking at our operations across the globe, I, w- I want women to know all of the different career opportunities that are available.
Mm.
It's not just engineering, and it's not
Mhm.
just chemistry. It is welding. It is instrumentation. It's electrical work. There's so many different career paths
Yeah.
associated with the chemical industry that we need to communicate broadly to the students that we come in touch with, to the young females, that all of the different opportunities that exist that are
Mm.
related to the chemical industry are so important.
And I think it's also very important to keep in mind. I think the average person doesn't think a lot about how chemicals are in everything. They're in everything we touch, everything we do, what we construct. And the chemical industry is in the interface with so many other segments of business, with STEM and chemistry being the core foundation of a lot of other industry, healthcare, construction, it goes on and on. And just our global interface with other industry segments, and just how STEM and chemistry as a core can support so many different career paths. that are possible to you. I think that's something that's very important for people to know and understand, or for our
Yeah.
young people to know and understand as well.
Yeah.
But I think Victoria made a really good point earlier, and that is, I think women have a tendency to put their head down. They sit at their
Hmm.
desk. They want to do a good job. For me, I think I talk about this often in our office, and it's the power of the dialogue. Reach out to other people and ask what they do. I will tell you, people will always say yes because they want to talk about their careers. And
Right.
you will see that people have very different, multifaceted careers, and they can have a job that you don't think you're interested in today. But the more you hear about it, the more it might spark an interest, and it might end up being your passion at the end of the day. But I think for me, talking to a lot of people and understanding what else is out there, I think people will link you to other people. And so having that broader network where you can talk to people, to
Mm.
me, I wish I would have done that earlier. I love my career. I will tell you, I've done things I never thought I would have done, but I also hear about jobs every so often. Wow, I wish I would have done that earlier in my career because that sounds really cool. And
Yeah.
so to me, I just feel like I talk about that all the time to people. Who do you talk to? And it doesn't have to be somebody high up in an organization too. That's the other thing. You could just be reaching out to people across peers or even people that are newer in their career, and they can share with you a lot of really great opportunities.
Yeah. I love that. I really do. Let's talk a little bit more about just education and chemistry, right? So, chemistry is at the foundation of what we do. We've each talked about how we've gotten touched by chemistry and influenced by chemistry and education early in our careers. Why is this so important from your perspective? And if we think about what CEF is doing, why is it important to engage students early?
I think you have to engage them early or you'll lose them.
Mm.
Because I
Right.
think as you go up through school, and I think kids don't worry about perception of other things. They just enjoy learning at a young age. So I don't
Mm.
think they think about, oh, I'm the smart kid or the sporty kid or that. They just want to be very open and explore and observe. I think the thing I worry about, or if you don't catch them early enough, as they go into high school, girls aren't supposed to be good at math. Oh, it's
Yeah.
not cool to be a math person. I loved math. And so
Yeah.
I bucked it because I'm very stubborn. But I think you get into, at the higher grades, you get into that perception of where you should be. And I
Mm.
do think people, they want to fit in. And so I think folks will have a tendency to say, yeah, I'm not good at math, so I'm just not going to do it. Versus, I actually really enjoy it. And why wouldn't I want to do it?
Right.
So I think to me, it feels like catching them early, you catch a passion there that is not, doesn't have a bias to it.
um, you spark the curiosity early that kids today are under so much social pressure that if you can
Yeah.
catch them early enough, it spark that curiosity and let them know that there are no preconceived notions about what you can do and how far you can go and what career path you take. Where I live is more of a rural area. And when
Mm.
I do career days at the local schools, there's a significant difference between the elementary school and the attention that I get there and in the high school. Those decisions are already made by the women and the girls in high school.
Wow.
There's not an audience there, but when you go into an elementary school, there's an audience and they pay attention. And so it's just getting to them at that early age to let them understand the vast
Yeah.
array of things that they can go do in their life.
Yeah. So this is a good
And
segue to talk about CEF and the You Be the Chemist Challenge. So can one of you guys just give us an overview of CEF and You Be the Chemist? Joyce, do you want to jump in on this?
Sure. CEF is very much committed to engaging with students early in chemistry and STEM activities. And the You Be the Chemist Challenge focuses on students that are between the ages of fifth grade and eighth grade, and in providing a challenge activity for them to become a part of and then to engage and to build their relationship when it comes to chemistry and STEM activities. So it is a very good program that happens annually. And we just really enjoy, or I personally enjoy that opportunity of even being hands on with the earlier challenges that are set throughout the year. for CEF, You Be the
Yeah.
Chemist
So
as
can one of you
well.
guys talk about how it's structured? Because it is a national
Right.
contest and there's local challenges along the way. Is that right?
Yes. So I can touch on it just a
Yeah.
bit. So we start early, uh, usually fourth quarter of the year, setting up the regional challenges, getting the teams in place, and then once they register, they get the materials, they start their plans to and how they participate, and there are teams of four, fifth through eighth grade students, and they have real world problems to solve. And they're not easy problems. This is like building a company and what type of workforce that you would have in your company. So it's not a typical fifth grade questions, but it's designed to challenge their thinking. And so the regional competitions happen, and then the top five teams from around the US and Canada actually get to travel to Houston, expense paid, to compete live for scholarships. And they start on a Monday, June the 10th, and with the award ceremony on June 11th. And the thing that I like so much about these scholarships that are available is not just about scholarships for college. It is for other types of education, whether it's certifications for any type of career path, because when we look at this maintaining a sustainable workforce in our chemical industry, it's not just about engineers. We
Right.
need the technicians. We need the people that can work with their hands and perform. A chemical operator doesn't have to have a college education, but we can't run our plants without them. And so these scholarships go to promote not only college education, but other types of STEM related backgrounds as well.
And so this year is the 20th anniversary of You Be the Chemist. And as you ladies have articulated, the top five teams are coming from across the country to Houston in the beginning of June to compete for the title. And I think there's something like $50,000 in scholarships. So each one of you have attended these events. What makes it special? What stands out for you when you've attended one of the You Be the Chemist finals?
I can start. You guys can jump in, but it's the collaboration between these teams, not only the members on a single team, but between the teams. These kids are just the energy and excitement in the
Right.
room is contagious.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
to see that love and the parents and supporters that are there with their kids, it's just it makes you want to it just gives you the thought that you want to go and spread this throughout all the schools so that
Mhm.
everybody can participate.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed celebrating their achievements, really, whether it was a regional challenge and seeing them engaging and seeing their curiosity just soar on solving all these different problems and answering these questions. But especially even at the finals, it's that celebrating their achievements and celebrating what they were able to accomplish and learn through this process and through the challenges. I've always really enjoyed that part of it as
Yeah.
well.
And I will say we just had a regional challenge here in Houston, and there is nothing better than watching these kids high five each other and get super excited. And so how
That's right.
you cannot get wound up in that, it's just
Mhm.
impossible to me. And it's just to me, it's just the purest joy watching them excited about learning and doing different things. And I will say the other comment that Rene made was a really good one. At San Jacinto College, we did the challenge, and then we took all the kids to do a tour of the labs that are there. And
Cool.
it's great for the kids to see what's possible. But the other thing that I think that's also very important, there were a lot of parents and teachers there. And I think it also helps to educate them a little bit about what's possible when you talk about career. We talk about chemistry being foundational, and it is. It's in everything we touch. But chemistry touches, and because of that, it touches so many different avenues. You can be an operator, you can be a truck driver, you can be an analytical chemist. There's all these different things. And I think just giving first the kids exposure, but also the parents and the teachers, I think it helps to raise the floor when it comes to level of discussion with these kids.
I think it's great. And as you point out, each one of these teams is working with a teacher. So we've got a teacher in middle school that is helping to sponsor the program for their schools. And again, back to the whole importance of having a mentor, a coach, a teacher engage and spark some of that interest really early is so critical. It's obviously also really critical to your companies, right? So your companies have each chosen to be sponsors, not just in money, but in time, providing the resources, the people to go judge the competitions and support that. Why? There's always this wide array of things that you could be dedicating your time and your money to. Why is this important to your companies?
Think we have to invest in tomorrow's workforce. We won't be successful without it. I think Renee said it very well earlier. I think we're in this time where everybody feels like you need to go to college and get a college degree. You don't. You can have a really great career with certifications and accreditations from other things and find something you truly enjoy. For us, I think tomorrow's workforce is incredibly important now more than ever. I think as we look at the chemical industry continuing to change to be more sustainable over time, we all have projects that we are facilitating that will require people to execute them. And it's going to happen at a pretty fast pace in my mind. It has to happen at a fast pace because we have goals for 2030, 2040, 2050. And so those will be here before we know it. And so I think we need to start now to make sure that we have those folks in the future so that we can accomplish all of these goals.
Right.
And we also need the people. We need the diversification of the people as well, because diversification drives innovation and different trains of thought. So we need all different types of people with different backgrounds and different trains of thought to come into our industry. And I think, again, with all the different career paths and things that you can do within the chemical industry, we need to attract everyone to have that interest, whether it's girls having those interests early on, a diverse slate of different types of people from different backgrounds. That's just going to do nothing but bring more innovation into our industry as well.
Yeah.
And as an industry, if we don't step in and spark this interest for developing the workforces that we need, we won't have them. If we leave it to no one else to do this, then we will not have the workforce that we need to be sustainable in the future.
Right.
So we have to step up and take the responsibility of making sure that we develop the workforce for the future.
Yeah. Love it. My only comment I would add on that is that we also need to influence people to understand that chemicals are actually foundational for what we do. Even if they never work in the chemical industry, to recognize, gee, the paint on the wall, the plastic of my phone, my computer keyboard, everything around me is enhanced and supported by the chemical industry. And so we need to be good stewards of that as well. This is a great time to encourage everybody who's listening to join us for the You Be the Chemist 20th anniversary challenge and celebration, which is going to be held on June 10th and 11th here in Houston. So it's a great chance for you, if you're local, make the time to come visit the challenge and participate and join the celebration. And if you're out of the Houston area, it's a great opportunity for a business trip, see some customers, come see the future generations in the chemical industry and experience the excitement of the You Be the Chemist challenge. So thank you all for joining and sharing your insights today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. And
Thank you
thanks
so
everyone.
much.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everyone for listening. Keep listening, keep following, keep sharing, and we will talk again soon.